Welcome back to TTC. Can tool battery taken high power air dusters take on, maybe beat the now popular handheld turbo fan dusters? These things can be pretty potent, but range from impressive to just loud and not anything better than a hairdryer. Our series testing them has been very popular, and the number one question we get on the channel right now is, how does Makita and other tool brand battery taken models compare? It's hard to even imagine ones of this size don't just stomp everything, but believe it or not, the latest tech out there right now are packed into these size pocket rockets as each guy tries to one-up the last. So let's rank them today using air velocity, air volume, or CFM, amount of force from the air pressure, and how loud they are to compare. Up first in order of price, we have the brand set. Their Violent fan that takes DeWalt batteries that we bought for 30 bucks. This looks like how my simple brain might imagine a turbo fan blower converted to tool battery power, basically an adapter slapped on the bottom of what looks like your usual handheld model. And it feels very strange without that battery weight inside of the handle. The whole tool becomes very oddly balanced, holding something so light with an anchor swinging around at the bottom. This brand set claims an airspeed of 268 miles per hour and RPM of 300,000. Yeah. Which, sure, we have spicier packs like this DeWalt Power Pack to afford it, but a lot of the specs on these things are a bit fanciful. RPM doesn't mean much alone anyways, but if anything, that's only allowed these guys to shoot to the moon even more with these specifications. It is something we can measure. For instance, on this one, it's going to be 71,800 RPM or so. Top ones we've seen even at 90, 100, and 115,000, but then again, doesn't mean much in of itself. What does is air volume and speed. These are meant to be like mobile cordless replacements for an air compressor blowgun or air can, so you do need a lot of air to be like one of those. The more the better. The brand set makes, compared to the couple top turbo dusters and the average here, it's going to make a lot less than that average. In fact, this 114 miles per hour that's showing is almost a record for the lowest, as in the slowest fan speed from anything tested, second to last to date. Didn't come with any nozzles, so them's the numbers. In CFM, or volume of pure air exiting this thing, we calibrate the gauge for each of these tools' exit diameter, and this one is not so bad. I mean, nowhere near the top, but also above the CFM average with 37 CFM. So far, this one seems like you could buy dusters with similar performance that have batteries in them included for the same price. More tests coming up, but first, the Wumzij. Yeah, there aren't a lot of formal tool brands with these things yet. Hopefully videos like this one and seeing how many people are buying these things give a kick into the pants to those brands, or cause Metabo and Hikoki to bring their models over to the US, or Ryobi to update their going on 9-year-old toy inflator to something more juicy. But for now, we got models like this $37 example that runs on Makita batteries and even comes with a semi-hard carbon fiber looking case. The mode settings are on the side, which I like a lot. The last one, and maybe I'm getting old, but could not figure out this double tap to turn on, then hold down for high power, and if you let it go and tap again, it turns it off. Sort of Morse code of confusion. This one's a bit more straightforward. They only advertise 130,000 RPM, which is a lot closer to being possible, and only 30 meters per second, which is like the speed limit. 67 miles per hour, that's refreshingly conservative. They even make Milwaukee and DeWalt variants. Let's see how it does. The Mystery Makita model makes 129, 130 miles per hour, but that's just in standard form. It comes with nozzles, like many of these. It even threads in, which is nice. Some that snap on can pop off when shoved into tight car interior places. And this is good for a huge improvement up to the limit of this gauge, or 180, 185 miles per hour. Any further back from that tube than our standard distance, even half an inch drops it down into the low 170s again. So we're right at that 180, 185 miles per hour range, and that's very good. The Wolf box is still in first, and we did some math to determine it's 200 miles per hour, which we'll be using as needed coming up. Let's see what CFM looks like. This guy is going to put up about 39 CFM for $37. If you got DeWalt M18 or Makita 18-volt batteries already, it's not looking too bad so far. And here we have the Miliff. Miliff is one of the OG guys that made tools that work with batteries you already got from brands that may not have that tool yet. This particular model is very inspired by the Makita we bought, except it uses DeWalt batteries and DeWalt doesn't have one of these. I mean, it's a spitting image of this model coming up, but at $39 instead of $168. And it comes with a fair amount of extras as well. The attachment of this type of accessory design is really nice to use. It's of course not their idea, but it was well executed, I think, and even interchangeable with Makita. Let's see if we're just blowing hot air here, though. The Miliff is going to max out the gauge in quick order and require being at least a further inch away to get consistent readings. By moving that a half inch further back each time and getting those subsequent readings, we can use an inverse square law mathematical equation, which isn't perfect for this, but is used on everything from decibels to lights to fire hose or squirt gun math in this case, to determine that this is coming in at right at 205 miles per hour and the best to date. Nice. Like that Makita it's aiming for, it has a small outlet to push all that airspeed out, and that doesn't help at all when it comes to air volume, which in this case is coming in at right around 35 CFM, requiring some math due to that overpowering of wind speed on the meter. We'll see how it compares coming up. Up next is Ohyes. That's it. This is the Ohyes air duster that takes Milwaukee M18 batteries. The brand is called Ohyes. The back grill on this is barely there. You can really see what goes on inside of these, which is not much, a board and a blade basically. It also makes for easy marking access to measure that RPM. In this one's case, an advertised 100,000 RPM and makes about 78,500 of that. The impeller blade is a larger diameter than many, so not surprised it's not getting near or over 100K. You'll only see that on the smallest. Not that 78,000 is slow by any means. This uses a potentiometer style trigger, which I like for a turbo duster like this, but the last half of that pull takes a lot of force for some reason, making it not super comfortable to use for a long time. The Ohyes makes, oh no, just 100, maybe 110 miles per hour of airspeed, but it does come with a nozzle, and that creates a lot of back pressure on that impeller that it starts to fight with, making this already loud duster piercingly loud now, but it does bump up the numbers to 174 miles per hour, which is very good. But it will have to be scored in loudness with that nozzle to enjoy this stat on the scoreboard. In CFM, not bad at all. Best of these on the day and up near the best overall. It puts out some wide casting large volume of air in its standard nozzle form. All right, and oddly, the most expensive of the who's who of who's that brands on Amazon is the smallest and takes the smallest battery. This is the Urun we bought for $46, and it takes M12 batteries. But there is something to be said about form factor. All the dusters so far feel like club foot attachments, as their plastic bodies feel empty and then have that heavy weight hanging off of it. This, besides looking like something we 3D printed, goes another route and looks a lot like the dusters we've tested in the past. It even says 45 meters per second, which is only 100 miles per hour, so maybe even modest or accurate to boot. Let's see. The Urun puts up over that 136 miles per hour of airspeed, which isn't a ton, but I suppose it is 12 volts and over what they advertised. And also not so bad when you look at CFM, where it makes 40 CFM. Above average, but also most expensive so far. That is until opening up this guy at more than 3 times the price of that last one. We bought this Makita at $168. We bought the outdoor adventure looking model because it seems fitting for how this sort of thing is used, but also because it looks cool. And the price we're going to list is just for the normal version of this tool, but they are similar. It's of course a lot larger than the Wolf box here, but also with a battery like the Miliff. Feels pretty natural and comfortable to hold with weight and balance. One thing that's much nicer on this model is the trigger and trigger safety on off. Once you switch over this toggle on the Makita, it's just open for business, while the Miliff requires holding that toggle in each time before pulling the trigger. Something that, if they removed, I think would make the tool even more popular. The Makita is going to max out our gauge here at the usual 2-inch distance and 2.5 inches and nearly at 3 inches as well, which the nozzle will take it the rest of the way there. Using the same process and calculation as the Wolf box and the Miliff, we get 220 miles per hour, a new record, and 37 CFM, which is pretty close to the 39 CFM that they put on this tool's box. What's really going to make a case for this thing and set it apart from the others, though, is air pressure. Using a scale, In grams, this will vary based on the size and shape of scale you use, so it is only useful for comparisons between models on the same scale, but this brand set is going to make 116 grams of air pressure, something many of these small turbofan dusters struggle with, so not bad here. It's above average. The Makita LXT taken Amazon guy is going to be good for 124 grams, also pretty good, really. The Miliff stepped things up, as you would expect it to, not for the price, but because it wants to compare to that pricey Makita, 177 grams, and second overall, nicely done. The Ohyes is oh so surprising, would not have pegged it to do so amazingly, but with 63 CFM, it is coming in clutch here, producing enough air to push down on the scale with 180 grams. That is until Makita comes out swinging with a full 250 grams. That extra airspeed is really doing the trick despite the CFM, which is what this tool is, I feel. Really punchy, you can feel it heating up the air just passing through it. That motor is making a lot of sauce and using that air rushing through it to cool it in a big way. So you might be thinking, well, this is Makita's LXT, they're 18 volt, and they have a 40 volt version too. Maybe their 5 to 6 amp hour packs are holding this thing back, but not only did this tool not improve with our own custom 21700 cell high discharge pack we call the Beans, not one battery we used as an upgrade on the day did anything to any of the models. In fact, on average, slightly lower for some odd reason. The Milwaukee Forge DeWalt 8 amp hour power pack M12 high output going to our own tabless 8 amp hour M12 pack we made, none of them improved. So I'm inclined to believe Makita in this instance, rating both their 18 and 40 volt tools the exact same in the specs, but let us know if you're still curious. Some of these are brutally loud for what they are, and they have some comeuppance due in the form of some dBA readings from 1 meter away. The brand sets a record at 92 decibels. Not pleasant, especially for this amount of airflow and speed you're getting for it. The Wumzij Makita thing is pleasantly quiet in comparison, just 83 decibels, which it will be rewarded for. Miliff's is loud, and the gauge is going to show 88 decibels, which is decently loud for sure. The Ohyes says hold my beer to 92 decibels and takes a decently loud situation and adds that nozzle that it scored highest in with airspeed and tops the charts with a loud and piercing type of pitch to the tune of 93.5 decibels, a new record high, higher than most full-size leaf blowers. The M12 Urun is going to calm things down a bit with 84 decibels, that's fairly decent, and the Makita is going to come in at lower than the Miliff. It's just better in each way in little proportions with each specification, as you might expect, 86 decibels. So that at the end of the day is going to look all like this. None of these come with a battery, so they get a non-applicable here, like the corded data vac did, and their rankings are going to come out looking like this. Re-ranking and adjusting all the pre-existing dusters to date here, 10th and 11th would be examples of being really bad, and products that score similarly are ranked similarly with the points. That's going to come out to an average place finish, so lowest best, of 8.5 for brand set, 5.3 for this Teal Talent, 4.5 for the Miliff, even better, 5.5 for the Ohyes, and 5.8 for the Urun, then 3.5 for the Makita, placing them overall like this, with the Wolf box still somehow in first. But if you want to erase this column that many of these don't even compete in, maybe you just already own said Makita or DeWalt batteries, so it doesn't matter to you, that would look like this, with the Wolf box and the Makita at the top. Makita just taking those bragging rights for having most first place finishes, with still the corded data vac, Trilby, and Miliff remaining not too far behind at the top. So the Miliff, you'd have to say at half the price makes some sense, but it's currently a quarter the price, so especially if you don't have Makita batteries and you have some other brand that works on it, it's a decent buy. $40 won't get you close in this category any other way. The Makita, though, is just plain good. We expected it to do good, but it also has very few drawbacks. Its size doesn't often feel like a hurdle for something like this, and its attachments are just a pleasure to use. It's not only useful, but falls into the category of just fun to use type stuff. And well, yeah, for half the price of that bare tool, you can get one with a 6,000 milliamp hour battery inside of it that goes toe to toe with it for 1/4 of the size. The Wolf box remains a contender at the top. Let us know what you'd like us to buy that you think will topple it. We make episodes testing tools every Friday. Stick around if that sounds fun, and thanks for watching.